Hi everyone, my name is Todd and I'm a program manager in the School of Continuing Studies. I'll be leading our session today. First of all, thanks so much for being with us today. I know these are difficult times for many of us, myself included. You can see I'm actually in my kitchen. So things are definitely not what we all expected, and we're still moving forward with all of our programs and having, I think, some good success for the ones that are currently running. So I'll share how that will work with the public relations program, but certainly, we'll share a bit about what the new norm looks like. So my name is Todd. As I said, I'm the program manager in the program, and I look after, the program as a whole. So there's a team of us that work on the program. There's a program coordinator, Carmela, there's a program advisor, Elsbeth. They're sort of all very integral in making the program be a success. But I look after sort of the overall program in terms of budgets and some marketing and hiring instructors. And I often say it's like running a small business. Everything that happens within these programs sort of is my responsibility. But really the most important role that I have is to make sure that you as students have a very positive experience. So that's really one of my main goals. I am not a content expert. I don't teach any of the courses. I'm not a public relations practitioner. I look after a host of other programs like accounting and digital and content marketing and information privacy. So quite a variety of topics. So I know a lot about the different programs I look after, but I'm not a content expert. So if you have questions along the way, certainly if I can't answer them, we'll park them and we can, get somebody to answer, and I'll have to get back to you on the response. So today's agenda, I'll talk a bit about why York, and I'll just talk about the public relations program, provide some details, some changes that you should expect with COVID. So I'll talk about what our programs will look like in September. I'll talk about how to register and just pointing in the right direction on our website. And then obviously the most important thing is just to answer all the questions you guys have. I think we've slotted about a half hour for the session. I'm more than happy to stand as long as people have questions. So feel free to write down your questions, and then at the end, I will answer them. So before we get started, I wanted to do a couple of poll questions just to get some information from you guys, which will help me in some of my comments. So the first question I was just curious about is, are you an international or domestic student? Another second. Okay, so you can see from the results that actually it's a not pretty close split, but we have a few more domestic students than we have international students, which is great. I'll talk about how the program impacts both of those groups. So but just knowing that we've got students from both buckets is super helpful. Okay, the next question. I was just wondering if people are interested in the optional work placement. Anyway, I think I can close that. Okay, awesome. Everybody has said 100% yes, so that's very helpful. We will certainly talk about the work placement, what that looks like, and give you more details. Okay. The last question is, I was just wondering what kind of background people had. So the question says, do you have any work experience or education in communications or public relations? And I put communication in sort of quotations because it's pretty broad. So if you studied journalism or something related, then just say yes. If you're coming from engineering, you have no experience in public relations, then you can respond that way. Okay. So it looks like, which is really interesting, and it's a good thing, that we have a lot of students who have some experience either working in the field, have educational degree or whatever that sort of relates to public relations, which is terrific. If you don't have those things, obviously you're not at a disadvantage because we're here to teach you those things. We understand this is a new topic for everybody, but in our classrooms, you're certainly not learning just from the instructor, writing down what they say and then regurgitating that back. It's a little more holistic. So you're learning from the instructor, your instructor's learning from you, and you're learning from other students. So students who have some experience in those in certain areas in the course or the program, we're really, hoping and we encourage people to share because maybe you have experiences which are different from what's being talked about in class, and that's going to help the students delve deeper into the topic and raise other questions. So it's really nice and healthy when you've got people who have some experience, and obviously the ones who don't, like I said, there's a slight disadvantage, but obviously we know that this program is for introduction to public relations. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me share a bit about why you might want to choose York University. So This is obviously an interesting time if you are considering getting into communications and public relations due to the pandemic we're all in, right? Every business is basically dealing with how their perception of their organization is. They're dealing with crisis of employers not having work opportunities. I can give you an example of the School of Continuing Studies. We're all working from home. We are having to change our courses and the formats of our courses. So all these things are about the perception to the community. We have lots of stakeholders, students, instructors, the university, staff, and how we communicate with those people to sort of say what's happening. These are the changes. That's all part of public relations. So it's a really great time to get into the field. It's a really interesting time to get into the field for sure. And I think these skills are needed more than ever because so many businesses are changing and how they interact with the public. So that's really important. There's certainly been a growth in the jobs that are available. There's certainly been some skills that we've sort of done some research on that are really important for organizations to have. And those are the things that we try to build into our program. So we've got, industry practitioners who help us develop the curriculum. We have instructors who are practitioners. They're also building the curriculum. So having that expertise is really important and something we're really proud of at York. Obviously, you're getting a university credential. We're trying to connect assignments to real life so you can create some sort of e-portfolio. So when you go for a job, you can sort of say, hey, look at these things I did. I wrote a media release. I worked on this crisis communication plan. I've done this and this and this. And obviously, the more you can do those things, the more you're going to add value back to a company when it's time to look for a job. And obviously, there's lots of opportunities for networking. We try and have guest speakers, which I'll talk about in a moment. You're obviously interacting with other students, and that gives you a nice opportunity to network with other people. So here's a list of our courses. Basically, you can see I created a little thin line. I think hopefully you can see that. So there are 8 courses in the program. I won't go into depth about any specific program, course topic or anything like that, but hopefully by the names themselves, it gives you some sense. At the end, I'll show you our website where you can get a little more information. But the red line there is basically the block of courses. So every course is taught in blocks of 2 in terms of our schedule, which I'll show you in a second. So in the first block, starting in September, you'll have fundamentals of public relations, and you'll have content creation, strategic messaging, and storytelling. After those 2 courses are over, then you'll be taking the marketing course and the strategic planning course, and on and on and on. So we, like I said before, we consulted with practitioners in the field, senior people. These were the topics that they felt were most important for someone to be successful in the field. That's how we developed the curriculum. So I'll leave this slide up for a second while I share a few other things about the courses in the program. But this way you can kind of digest that a little bit easier, not speed through them. All of our instructors, as I said before, are practitioners. They all kind of have full-time jobs working in communications and public relations. They're going to bring to you current trends. They're going to share with you sort of some theory and connecting it to real life, because at the end of the day, that's what this is about, connecting content to real life for you to sort of digest it in a way that makes sense, and that's very practical. All the courses have assignments. Some of them are individual, some of them are group, sometimes it's presentation, sometimes it's a lot of writing. Every course is a little bit different, but there are graded assignments with every single course. A lot of the instructors bring in guest speakers, which is fantastic. So you're hearing again from more practitioners in the field that may have an expertise in, creating content or a crisis situation, or how to deal with, employee relations. So they'll bring those people in, which is a nice feature because it just adds to the depth of what you're learning, and hearing from a variety of sources just makes the learning more interesting. The other thing I just want to mention, which is really important, is the program is cohort-based. And what I mean by that is the students who start in the first course are the same students who will be in course 2 and course 3 and course 4 all the way through the entire program. And that's really nice because, one, you get to sort of build this nice community of students that have similar interests, and you can work on projects together, so you can create study groups. There's networking opportunities if somebody actually has a job working in the field, and you can sort of learn that there's some insider information that there's potential job openings. That's really important, and by having this cohort base and building this community, that's, I think, a really nice feature of the program. So the work placement, I'll talk about this for a little while, and then again, if you have specific questions, we can answer them at the end. So the work placement currently is optional, and what that means is you don't have to complete the work placement. So provide this opportunity for you to get some real life experience. Certainly, I know out in the field, most schools have this sort of opportunity. It's a great place to, one, get some practical experience, build up that e-portfolio, as I mentioned, connect with people, network with people, all those things. But it is optional. So the way ours works is it's about 240 hours, typically unpaid. So we can't control if somebody wants to pay you a stipend or something, but it is unpaid because it has some liability insurance sort of reasons, but that's sort of the way it's designed. You can find your own, or we've been sort of trying to stockpile different relationships or people that come to us and saying, hey, do you have any opportunities to connect with students? So we work with an organization on campus called the YU Experience Hub. And what they'll do is students that decide to participate in the program, they'll offer workshops in interview skills and how to prepare to be successful and resume writing and how to go out and network and how to ask somebody if they've got an opportunity, to do a placement in an industry that works best for you. So they kind of do all those things to help prepare you to be successful. And that usually happens sort of towards the back half of the program. And then when the program is over, you're obviously then starting your work placement. Do apply directly to the organization. So you may have in some cases 2 or 3 different students who apply to the same role. If there's only one, then only one person obviously will be hired for that spot. So it's competitive in that way that there's ones that everybody wants to participate in. Then you need to make sure you present yourself in a way that's going to get hired. And that involves resume writing, how to interview, which is all the workshops and things. So it's a very practical process to get you to that interview stage. As I said, it's about 8 weeks. It's 30 hours a week. On top of the sort of work placement itself, there are other things that you have to do, like there's keeping a journal kind of thing and evaluations. The students, when they're finished with this, will get a pass-fail grade. So, if you do the 240 hours, you finish those surveys and things like that, then it's pretty hard to fail. Obviously, you won't fail. But we just want to make sure people complete what's the requirements. If you're an international student, the way that the work placement works for you and your visa, because it's optional, it's not tied to your academic. You don't have to apply for a special co-op visa. The way that the work placement and the postgraduate work permit works is after you complete your studies, you apply for a postgraduate work placement, a permit. It takes about 100 days from the day you apply to when you get a response saying you've been approved. During those 100 days, you are allowed to work, even though you don't have a permit. But it's called sort of grace period, and it's called an applied status. So it's during those 100 days that you would do the work placement with us. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can certainly, we can talk about them at the end, but that's basically how that works. So it's not a special co-op permit you would get. It's just the applied status you have once you apply for your work permit, and it's that grace period where you would do this 100 days, you would get to do your time doing our work placement. We currently have 1 student who's doing it. We had 6 who enrolled, but then with COVID and things changed, not so much on the employer side, but more on the student side with, people just being uncomfortable and a whole variety of reasons. So we ended up actually with 1 student doing it. So she's in the middle of it. I'm hearing good things from her and the experience, and she'll obviously have an advantage over others because she'll now have this on her resume where unfortunately others were not, but certainly understandable that they decided not to participate. You don't need to register for the workplace when you start the program. You can register, after the 3rd or 4th class, so don't worry about that. It's not something you have to decide today. So this is how the schedule looks, and you'll see some things in yellow because those are sort of the changes because of COVID-19. The first thing I'll say is that the university, based on feedback from the government and all these other, health resources, all the courses will start online. So this is a full-time program. It's obviously usually face-to-face, but in September to December, the program will for sure be live online via Zoom. So you'll still meet at the regular scheduled times. You'll still interact with other students and your instructor in real time. You'll have small discussion groups and polls, and just like you would in a real classroom, you're just doing it from your home or wherever you might be at the moment. So for students who are international students, the government has said that you can do 50% of your program online, and it will not impact your postgraduate work permit. So that means that September to December, the courses will be online, but come January, based on the current information we have from the government, we'll then have to have those courses either face-to-face, or if they change their requirements, you can possibly continue to do them online, and potentially have to be in Canada. So we're still working through those details. There's still some questions to be answered, but I can certainly tell you that come September, the courses will be online. I can tell you that we are very sensitive and aware of the postgraduate work permit requirements of international students. We will make sure that our program meets those requirements so that you can get that permit when you're done, because I know that's the motivation of a lot of students. The other thing I want to just mention is the time of the program. So initially it was scheduled for 3:30 to 6:30. You can see from this schedule, you're in class 4 days a week. You're in one class, Fundamentals of PR, on Monday and Wednesday, and Tuesday and Thursday you're in different class, Content Creation. Because of the fact that we're moving the program online, there's a very likely chance, like 99%, that the time of the course will not be at 3:30. It will be more like at 8:30. And the reason for that is because we do have international students. Those students, in a lot of cases, cannot come to Canada to study for obvious reasons. So 8:30 in the morning here is like dinner time in India, which is where we have a lot of students come from. So we try and be accommodating to them. So just a heads up that when we go back to face-to-face and we have everybody here on campus, we'll kind of shift back to the 3:30 time slot. But there's a very likely chance the program will start in September. It'll definitely be online, and it will most likely start at 8:30 a.m. So just be aware of that. And again, if you have questions, we can certainly talk about that. Some other things that just to be aware of, there are two associations associated with public relations. You may be familiar with them. One is IABC. One is CPRS. We do bring them in to sort of share what they do and have some information for you to choose if you want to pursue that. They have lots of networking opportunities. They have lots of activities and their own events. So definitely you should belong to one of them or both of them. I think they charge like $50 as a student fee, which is pretty reasonable for what you get as a student. We also try and bring in our own guest speakers outside of the classroom on career journeys, trends in the fields, what life is like as a PR professional, etc. There is an application process for this program. That's through our website. You need a degree or a 3-year college diploma. You need transcripts, obviously. And one thing we also require is a statement of interest. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for you to share with me why you want to take this program, how it sort of relates back to your career goals. And that's really important because I want to make sure people have the right motivation for being in the program, because we do get a lot of applications and we only have a certain number of spots. And if you're an international student, then obviously you need an IELTS score of at least a 6.0. September is the next intake. We've obviously already had students apply, so if you're not yet applied, you certainly should consider that. I should have made that a poll question, but I forgot to do that. And we do have different fees for international students and domestic students, so just keep that in mind as well. Okay, I'm going to quickly go to our website for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to take all of your questions. Bear with me as I change my pages here. Okay, so I think everyone can see this on my screen. So this is our website, which I assume everyone's been to. If you want to enroll, you just click on the Enroll tab. It's right in the middle there. You'll see there's the international fees and the domestic fees. You apply, and you go through that process. It's pretty straightforward once you get there. Back to the main page, there's lots of information about the program. You've seen some of these stats, which I included in my actual presentation today. Quote from instructors, what you're going to learn. I'm just going to scroll down here to the bottom. So here's information about the format, which I was talking about that live online, so you can get some more information there. There's more information about the optional work placement. There's information about instructors and our program policies and those kinds of things. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. I'm just going to scroll really fast up to the top. When you click on the Enroll button, and then it doesn't matter which one you click on. Say you click on the international one. They're both the same, so it doesn't really matter except for the fees. But this is where you'll actually find a description of all the courses. So sometimes it's a little hard to find on our website because it doesn't clearly say courses. You have to kind of enroll. You haven't enrolled yet, obviously, but you can go through this. You can look at the courses. You can look at the actual dates of when each course ends and starts. So that'll give you some more information about that. Okay, that's all I really wanted to share today. I'll just leave this slide up here. So Elsbeth, who's our continuing studies advisor, is really the best person if you have questions about the program or anything. So you can certainly start with her. If you have questions around registration or after you've registered, Donna or Mary, they're the registration coordinators in the office. We are not physically in the office, so you can't visit us on campus, but certainly email or phone works. They have the phones directed to their homes. So I'll leave this slide up while I answer all your questions. I see there's already a couple in there, which is good. Oh, there's quite a lot, so that's awesome. The first question is from Alexandra. What digital device or internet platforms, apps, social media would be useful, recommended for students to have or obtain? Yeah, for this program, there's really nothing that's required. I mean, obviously you need access to the internet. You don't need to bring a laptop to campus. Obviously the online portion you're doing from home. Everything is done in something called Moodle. It's called an LMS, the Learning Management System. So all the content is there. We use Zoom for the live questions and the interactions like the class time. So long as you have an internet connection, you've got some access to a computer, then you should be more than fine. But there's no specific software that you need. Oh, another question from Alexandra. She's asking, in my experience, would it be feasible for students to work part-time alongside this curriculum? Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, you should budget around 10 to 12 hours per week for your work outside of class. But really, when you do that is up to you. So you can do that after you work, if you can do it during work, if that works for you. But every day you'll have 3 hours of class. And every day you should probably bank on a few hours just to sort of read the textbook or work on activities or group assignments. But yeah, working part-time should not be a problem. Again, it just means you have to balance your time and worry about time management and those kinds of things. But we've certainly had students who worked before, so definitely not impossible. Gianni's asking about living in BC, start the program in distance, and what about the placement? Yeah, the placement does not need to be done here in Toronto, Ontario. If you're from out in BC and you're going to come here for the program after we come back to face-to-face, and you want to go back home to do the work placement, you'll probably have to then find the work placement, but we can certainly help you through that process to give you the tools to find it, ask people the right questions, all those things. So yeah, no worries about that. So yeah, so another same sort of on the work placement from Gianni. So yeah, that's correct. If you do the 8 courses, you will get your certificate. So you don't have to do the work placements. Like I said, only one student ended up doing it this year out of the 6 who thought they were going to do it. We only had 13 students in the program. This year we're expecting probably around closer to 20, 25 students. So yeah, if you do the 8 courses, you will get a certificate in public relations from the university. Sulaf is asking about the GPA requirements. Yeah, that's probably a question I should know. Yeah, so I think it's a C for university and a B for colleges. I think that's the GPA requirement for admission. Harvene is asking, what are the benefits of enrolling in the optional work placement rather than just trying to find a paid job in the field? Does it guarantee a placement? Good question. It certainly does not guarantee. We don't guarantee placements because sometimes students have to find their own, and we do our best to provide opportunities. But students still have to be accepted, and so we do not guarantee placements. But yeah, you can certainly on your own look for a job or your own work placement internship. Absolutely, it's optional, not required. So if you wanted to do that on your own, yeah, we'll do our best to support you. But obviously, you're a little more on your own to do that. But yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't do it. You can certainly save the fee that we charge. You wouldn't be getting all those services though, but you can certainly do that if that's what you so choose, for sure. Okay. Well, if no other questions, then I will sign off. And again, huge thanks to everyone that joined us today. And hopefully you guys are all doing well and staying healthy. And hopefully your families are all healthy and well. And yeah, if you have questions, let us know. And thanks again. All right, guys, have a great day.